Hello my friends, and welcome back once again to the war-torn plains of Beleriand. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster, and I am one of the lead developers behind Silmarillion Total War, a modification for Medieval 2 Total War. Today's bloody spectacle pits the noble high elves of House Fingolfin against the savage armored fury of the orcs of Angband, the Iron Hell. This is a 1v1 on the frozen lake bed map, and it is right down to the wire, so without any further ado, let's jump into the battle. I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's quickly go through the army compositions and then we can jump into the action. So Artorias' army here is obviously quite defensive. He's very mid-tier heavy, with a front line composed of Ironshod Legionnaires and the Halberds as well. Not an easy thing to chunk your way through, especially when you're the House of Fingolfin and you don't have a ton of armor piercing. His second line is going to be composed of 2 units of Guardians of the Iron Crown, really potent units against the House of Fingolfin. Not that they have a huge amount of damage that they can get a lot of value off with their armor piercing, certainly less so than they can against the House of Feanor, given the high melee skill of the Fingolfin faction, but they're super well armored and you can upgrade them to be even more so. And as I mentioned, the House of Fingolfin don't have a lot of armor piercing, so these units are actually really high value against them. We got some bulldogs here in the center, 2 pieces of artillery, so 2 mangonels here, and he's obviously in taking a very strong position up here in the hill, so they're going to have a field day firing into the Fingolfin lines. He's also brought Arbalists here. Looks like 2 companies of Arbalists at the very least, yes indeed. And then to defend his back lines, he's placed his stakes in reverse, and he's also got a couple companies of the Spear Guard there as well. So a very powerful defensive formation, but it is a little bit static. There's no ability here whatsoever, and he's going to be forced to kind of cede the initiative to House Fingolfin, who've got a little bit more mobility. So taking a look at their army here, this army being commanded by Rex Gervais. He's got 2 units of the Vinyamar Marines, 1 unit here, 1 on the other wing, and then 2 units of Marksmen of Barad Ithel, who are deployed similarly. He's stacked his front here with Herdsmen of Hithlum. These are a hybrid archer. They are 2-handed axemen, so of course they are armor piercing. A really nice thing to have when you're House of Fingolfin, because they've really just got 2 units that have reliable melee armor piercing. That being the Herdsmen of Hithlum and the Sons of Húrin, which you're going to see a little bit later on in this battle, as he did bring both the bodyguards. There's the other company of the Vinyamar Marines, and this is an important element here. And I think, based on my experiences so far, these guys can be super important when you're playing against these kinds of builds or against factions who are largely static. The House of Finarfin, for example, I was able to eke out a win against one of our veteran testers using one of his favorite builds, the triple pike build. And the Lancers of Anon Ingalud were an important part of that. They're light Lancers, they're very fast, they've got a good charge value. You can upgrade them so that they're even more so. Yeah, just all around a really nice unit to bring with you, especially when you're playing against builds or factions that are much more static than you are. We've got another line here composed of Blade Masters of Barad Ithel, and we've got a main line composed of 3 units of Sentries of Hithlum and the Bladesmen of Barad Ithel. And now these Sentries here, while not amazing on their own, and they are quite vulnerable to missile fire, the fact that they are pikemen and they have that range advantage. Ooh, we've got the mangonel going off in the background there. Doesn't look like it's going to hit anybody though. Bad luck for Artorias so far. But these pikemen are extremely important in this matchup, as the halberd line of Angband would otherwise chew up the poor Bladesmen of Barad Ithel, and they wouldn't even be able to get close. But the pikes do give them a distinct advantage, despite the numbers and despite the large amount of damage and armor piercing that Artorias has stacked his front line with. Next we have 2 companies of Armatar of Barad Ithel. These are essentially veteran units of the Bladesmen of Barad Ithel. What has been done with this unit is that they are a detachment of the Bladesmen of Barad Ithel, but they're a little bit more elite. It's just sort of one of the faction flavor things that Fingolfin has going on for them. And then finally we come to the bodyguard units, and I think one of the Airimo Arantar was unlucky, and yes indeed he did meet a fiery end. We have them down here. This is the person. Oh, actually, that's the Sons of Húrin. We'll get to them in a moment. But here we have the Airimo Arantar, the personal bodyguard of High King Fingolfin himself. And you can actually see Fingolfin here in the background. This was done by Sim of the Darkcloud. Fantastic model, and big thanks to him for his hard work on it. But yeah, that's the High King there. And if we look over here, you're going to see another familiar face. These are the Sons of Húrin. They are 2-handed axemen, armor piercing of course, and a massive charge value of 30. So they can throw 59 damage off the charge, which is extreme overkill. They'd probably be just fine with, 30 or 40, but It does combine their base and their charge values together, so really heavy hitters. And you can actually see Húrin himself right there wearing the Dragon Helm of Dorloman, which I don't believe he ever wore in canon, but it does help mark him out from amongst his peers in the Sons of Húrin. But that is going to do for the army compositions. Let's go ahead and jump into this. So, this is where the mobility advantage, I think, really comes into play. Rex Jervis is moving here with his 2 units of Herdsmen of Hithlum, and I'm pretty sure, at least if I was Rex, I would certainly be going after them. He's going to be trying to target the Ironshot Arbalist. They're really close packed like this, so hopefully he's going to get a volley off before Artorias realizes the kind of danger that he's in here. No, it looks like they're going to reposition. They had an excellent opportunity here to lay down the pain onto the Ironshot Arbalist, and it looks like some marksmen of Baron Ithor are over there in support as well. So now Artorias is going to be alerted to its danger. He's going to pop them into loose formation and then move them out here. And I think the main target is, of course, going to be the Phalanx. There's a numbers. This is really numbers versus quality, right? The pikemen here give them a distinct advantage over the halberds, and the bladesmen of Baron Ithor are head and shoulders above the Ironshod legionaries. But if he can use his crossbows to whittle them down to sufficiently low numbers, they'll be overwhelmed regardless, just through sheer brute numbers. But the Ironshot Arbalists aren't looking like they're going to have the opportunity. Herdsmen of Hithlum throwing some pain downrange. Ooh, that was a nice hit there into the pikemen. That's probably going to kill 9 or 10 of them. Ooh, another devastating shot here, ripping through the front line. So there's really a kind of a ticking clock here on the maneuvering that Rex is doing. If he waits too long, the mangonels and the crossbows can potentially tear apart his entire army and finish the game right there. So he needs to be quick about this, and so far, so good. These Ironshot crossbowmen getting a few cheeky shots off into the bladesmen and the crossbows, doing some light damage, but they're taking heavy losses in return from a very stacked left wing on the skirmish end of things from Commander Gervais. Yeah, it's a lot of damage being done there. About 60 of them have already fallen. There's another unit over here that's down by 20. So far, so good for Mr. Jervis. He is managing to pick apart some of the more important elements of the Angband army from range. And of course, we don't want to forget about these guys. Pocket Lancers here, Lancers of Anon in Galuth, maneuvering themselves into the back lines of Artorias, and they will surely wait until the opportune moment to spring their trap, because of course there are the stakes back here and the Spear Guard waiting patiently for anyone foolish enough to get near them. Let's go ahead and kick things up here. Ooh, a brutal volley. I think he's going to be going after the centers of Hithlum more than anything, although he seems to be ripping through basically both of these units here. The bladesmen of Baron Ithor now down by nearly 30 men. That is painful indeed, and we could be seeing the end of this line fight here. Oh, nasty! Centers of Hithlum just taking it on the chin there. Rex, I think, realizes the necessity of getting in here as quickly as possible. That being said, the volume of fire, they're not going to lose ammunition from losing units in here, but the volume of fire and the amount of impact they can have on a battle quickly is certainly being impeded in a huge way by the skirmish forces from Artorias, and he's now moved in against, he's moved his left wing against the Angband right, and the Spear Guard are colliding with units that are fairly well positioned to beat them. Ooh, the Spear Guard here, I don't know what happened. There's some Sons of Húrin nearby, and I think they might have terrified them, so they're actually going to route through these guys, and that is bad news bears for Artorias. I did not expect that at all. I have no idea how he managed to accomplish that, but that is a huge win for Artorias. Spear Guard are very reliable, and now that those units are fleeing off the field, despite the fact that the Guardians are nearby backing them up, the Ironshod Legionaries are on the verge of routing. So that's 2 units here from Artorias that are looking like they might be destroyed in the very early game. But this big old blob here, that's going to be fun times for the remaining Arbalists here from Angband. That being said, there aren't too many left, so things seem to be going swimmingly for Mr. Gervais so far. That, although, when you look at the percentages, it's dead even, 15% for both sides. Let's go ahead and turn it up here just a little bit. Now the Guardians have moved in, and again, you're starting to see the blades, the weaknesses here of the Fingolfin faction. Despite the fact that we have 2 very strong units in here, Bladesmen and the Armitar of Baron Ithor, the Guardians are holding the line very well, crunching through their relatively heavy armor with ease, and now the Halberdiers are moving in to try and finish the job. And there's no pike support here. There are some Javelins, however. Marines of Vinumar doing what they do best. Looks like they maybe got caught in melee or got hit by the crossbows. And I think there's a second unit of them, indeed. can see some of the Guardians of the Iron Crown trying to get a piece of them. We got Marines of Vinyamar going on a deep strike mission into the rear of Artorias' formation. Our Lancers of Anon in Galud, looks like we missed a bit of a charge here. I hope they didn't go into the Spear Guard. It looks like maybe they probably went here against the Ironshod Legionnaires. I don't think the Rex would mount a frontal charge into Spearmen, for sure he wouldn't. And that did help even things out a little bit. You can see the usefulness of that cavalry, despite the fact that it is quite limited, and it is only Lancers. Yeah, definitely swinging things in Rex's favor on his right wing. Let's see what we got going on over here. Now, overloading the wing here has certainly paid dividends for House Fingolfin. The Guardians of the Iron Crown have moved in, but they're having very, very difficult engagements here. There's a lot of armor piercing and a lot of high attack value. Wretches from Angband, I didn't even see them in his army composition, but they're being thrown in here just to kind of aid things with sheer weight of numbers. So it looks like 2 units of Wretches here alongside some Halberds trying to hold back this furious assault being spearheaded by the Sons of Húrin, and they're doing fantastic so far. It looks like some crossbow support here, targeting the Sons of Húrin, which is not a bad idea at all. They're not super well armored, but the crossbows are high damage and they're armor piercing, so it's certainly going to help against their 8 armor. And yeah, that would be a bad unit to lose, so definitely prioritizing his targets well here, Artorias. Sentries of Hithlum having a hard time. Yeah, they're kind of surrounded on all sides, not really able to use their formation to their advantage, which is what you want to do with pikemen. So looking like a tough one. So there is still some momentum here. They're pushing through the Wretches quite nicely, but over here, this looks very bad. They're surrounded on basically all sides by the Halberds and by some other Angband troops in there as well. Yeah, that's... It says defeat is certain, but you know, I kind of don't believe it. There's a lot of things going on here for Angband on their right. I guess that would be their right wing, yeah. And now the attack in the middle is underway, sort of a general assault. Well, the sentries, they're doing okay, but it seems like the Orc units are coming out on top here, and they've certainly outnumbered them by a serious amount. Although some of the reinforcements are now being pulled to try and stabilize things on their right. So let's take a look on their left at how they're doing. Oh yeah, the Orcs are doing just fine here. They have a hill advantage. It says the defeat is certain, but honestly, they have the hill, they've got the numbers, they've got the heavy armor, and they are whittling down the numbers of the Noldor quite nicely. Ooh, nasty. In the back here, Lancers of Adon in Galud getting a piece of the Ironshot Arbalists, shutting down these 2 artillery pieces, but they may be out of ammo already. Wretches of Angband trying to screen the back line. Ironshot Arbalists being brought forward as well. If they could get a cheeky shot off here, that would certainly put many of these Lancers of Adon in Galud in the grave. Ooh, Marines of Vinyamar. Very nicely played here by Rex. Putting some pressure on those Spear Guard. Oh, that is nasty. I think they might get one more volley off as those units turn to flee. They're not even going to get their shield value, and many of them are going to be picked off. Ooh, another deadly volley here. And it's going to scythe through the ranks of the Spear Guard. Ooh, brutal indeed. Over here, yeah, the Blade Master's starting to fall away. Ironshod Legionaries alongside the Guardians, who are still in very good condition, being supported now by Halberds, probably brought out of the central line. Though the Halberds are advancing into a little bit of an encirclement here. Marksmen of Barad Eithel have joined the fray as the sword units begin to fall away. The Marksmen of Barad Eithel are sorely needed, and they've been thrown into combat on the front lines. And the Halberdiers are going toe-to-toe with them, but I think... I don't know. Maybe the encirclement here will be kind of what they need, or they'll end up routing them off eventually anyway. Angband not having the greatest of morale and responses to morale shocks. These Arbalists, what are they up to? And over here, the Orcs seem to be winning through. Bladesmen of Barad Eithel being cut down. The Orcs still in decent numbers. Oh no, a Mangonel crew. This is desperation right here. Marksmen of Barad Eithel being thrown in. And at the same time, some of the reserve range units now out of ammunition from Angband being tossed in there to match. And there is the possibility, with the Bulldogs pushing against the wing of the Sentries of Hithlum, you can already see the casualties that have been suffered here by the Noldor. There's the possibility that this line will get rolled up over time, but his center is doing okay, but it's really a matter of how well his wings are going to hold. Now, his other wing, he seems to be alright, but ooh, the Lancers of Anon in Galud coming in from the rear, and morale shocks, again, not Angband's forte, and the Wretches are going to rout off in huge numbers, and they're going to go right through the Noldor and the Edain, who are going to show no mercy. The Lancers are going to pay for it. There's some serious casualties going down there. Probably 6 or 7 of the Lancers ended up getting cut down, and they're now down to a meager 17 men. Maybe a little bit less after they fully disentangled themselves, 15. Well, the Guardians doing okay, but against the armor piercing and the high damage, you know, these are 2 units that are basically guaranteed to destroy each other, but there's also some Noldor units that are mixed in there as well. Yeah, the high damage and the armor piercing, kind of what the Doctor ordered against a unit like the Guardians of the Iron Crown. Oh, and a nasty charge from behind. Artorias didn't even see it. No time to turn around. I think these units may break nearly immediately. No, it doesn't look like it. They're going to hold on. And now they're starting to pull things back a little bit. Nice of Anon and Galuth definitely need to get out of there as quickly as possible. Ironshot Arbalest, hopefully they're going after those Lancers. A shot or 2, even from a small unit like this, would be more than enough. Ooh, gotta be careful. Yeah, you definitely want to avoid those spikes there. And they're going to get in and prevent them from firing, and that's going to save his cavalry unit. And that is good news, of course, for the House of Ingolfin, who desperately need these cavalry to even out the engagements where they are currently losing. Spears of Hithlum down to very small numbers indeed, about thrice outnumbered by the Ironshot Halberdiers alone. And now they are advancing, pushing the Noldor off the hill, breaking through their line. Marksman Baron Ithil have pushed up the hill here through some of the Orc Mangonel crew, and they are well poised to come in from the rear, but with Bulldogs in there, and it looks like the Bulldogs are going to turn around and try and deal with these guys. Yeah, the Bulldogs will cut their way through them. They may even rout them off. Over here, it's still pretty even, but I think the Elves have run into a bit of an impassable fence of steel and teeth, and they are not really able to push their way through the heavy infantry. So let's go back to the cavalry and see how they're doing. One more hit from the rear against the Guardians might be enough to finish them off. Nice cheeky charge here into the rear of the Angband Wretches, who are fighting against the Vinyamar Marines, and that is going to rout off the Angband Wretches. Oh, this is looking really good here from the House of Ingolfin. It's still fairly even, just a 3% difference. But this cavalry unit here might be what kind of takes this game for the Noldor. Let's kick things back into full speed then. Down to 14 now. There's certainly one more target they need to focus on. In the center, it seems like indeed House of Ingolfin is beginning to get destroyed. But it's the wings where I think this is going to be decided, and for sure we're about to see a nail put into the coffin of Angband's resistance. They are still winning over here. Look at this, the herdsmen on the verge of collapse, and the Lancers of Anon in Galuth coming in from the rear. Oh, this is going to hurt. That's a beautiful charge there. A lot of value, and they're going to break almost immediately. And this one unit of Lancers here is going to save this entire fight and free up some much-needed resources. Yeah, the forces of Hithlum being cleaned up in the center. And then over here, how are they doing? Oh, no. So freeing up those Marines allowed him to come in from the rear against the Spear Guard, and where the Orcs were winning previously, now the Noldor have the momentum needed to break through, and that really just leaves the center, where Artorias has managed to be victorious. And now more troops coming in to roll up the line. He's going to get a chance to turn around and face them. But there are a lot of bad things coming his way. Specifically, a unit here of 46 pikemen and the Lancers of Anonim Galuth still running around, still being a nuisance. The Bulldogs slicing their way through the Marksmen of Barad Ithil like it was nothing. Ooh, but this might be another mass rout here for sure. The Mangonel crew is going to be seen off. Halberdiers might hold on a little bit longer. Yeah, there goes the Mangonel. And there goes their general. I think we're going to see a mass rout here from the remaining forces, indeed. There go the Halberds. It was just too much for them. It's going to be 85 to 89. Still a very close game here. Very, very tightly contested. And more of these units here are going to begin to rout as they lose faith and flee with the death of their commander. Yeah, and there the Spear Guard go, maybe trying to effect some kind of breakout so that they aren't being attacked from multiple sides. Yeah, but they're going to rout as well. Yeah, that was too much for them. A little ill-timed there, perhaps. I think that's pretty well gamed. 95 to 85, though. Oh, of course. There's still the Bulldogs. Only 9 of them left over, but these fallen Mai are a force to be reckoned with. But There's some survivors from the Sons of Huden coming in, and the Bulldogs are being hacked down on all sides. Some of them trying to get up, but there's just a flurry of blows raining upon them from all sides. And there's nothing else that they can do. That's basically going to be the end here. Oh, there's one more. Oh, two more. I think he's going to get attacked from behind. That's going to be over. Oh, he's going to manage to kill that last marksman of Baradithel, sinking his foul sword into his neck. But now he's going to be attacked on all sides. It's a bad day to be a Bulldog. This is the end for you, my friend. And he's going to go down. I think that's going to be the last of Angband's soldiery on the field. Very close game, 93 to 95, so about an 8% difference there. Fantastically played to Rex for sure. Artorias is very good with Angband, and he is kind of pioneering a lot of the more mid-tier heavy builds, eschewing the more traditional compositions of not Bulldogs rather, but Valaraukar and Ururoki and Trollguard and things like that, and it's fairly effective. He managed to take down about 85% of the army there, but damn, look at that disparity in numbers. Well done to Captain Gervais. Take a look at Artorias's casualties, and we'll see what did what in his army. Halberdiers did pretty well for themselves, as they tend to do. The Bulldogs certainly killed more than they lost there. They about tripled. It's about 3 to 1, I suppose, ratio. Guardians of the Iron Crown did very well on either side. Again, a very potent unit to use against Vidgolfin. Legionnaires did alright. 116 on the Arbalest, and one of the other Arbalists was taken down. But the Arbalists were under really heavy pressure the entire time. So the fact that they didn't manage to kill a ton is really unsurprising. I think Rex picked his targets very, very well. Artorias' defensive position was kind of used against him, and Rex was able to use his mobility to kind of pick things apart and soften up some of the more important units. He used his javelins as well to kind of thin things out. And coming in from behind with the javelins and the cavalry, that was masterful. The cavalry themselves, I wonder how many kills they got. Probably, I would say at least a couple hundred on that light unit, on that light cavalry unit for sure. And they're really the MVP of that match. They freed up a lot of resources, and that was pretty much what won him the game. If it came down to a straight-up grind, I think the elves would have lost just by sheer attrition. But yeah, the cavalry was able to be used well. Well done to Rex. Well done to Artorias. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I will be coming out with some Reforged tomorrow. I have 2 big sieges that I want to do next. And before I do anything else, well, maybe I'll do a stream or something in the mid-term if I have time. But I will definitely be doing 2 more battle replays on Reforged, and I'll be coming to you in the next week or so. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you join me for Never Comes Next. Take care, everyone.